I hope we get some peeps in here. I love asking questions. So I'm
I know. I know.
excited. How was having the whole crew in Denver?
It was honestly so awesome. I gotta sigh up everybody into coming back ASAP.
I wanted to come. I just too much traveling. I couldn't make it happen. I will be
I
back.
feel you. Yeah, we definitely gotta all get together again. That's just too fun. Feels too natural.
Um, we'll give this just a few more minutes to let some people file in. But what we're doing is everybody that joins can request to come up on stage, get a question asked. We try to stick to one question per person, but we may do some follow up questions sometimes, just depending on what's going on, how many people we have kind of in line to get questions asked. But we're just trying to learn more about people and the art that they make and what inspires them, etc. So, if you're in and want to come up and chat and have a question asked, feel free to request, and we'll let you up on stage. But we'll get started here shortly.
Oh my god, Cliff's here. It's huge.
Hi, Cliff. Hi, Noel. Um, Ready? Are you available to hop up on stage? If you are, just request. There he is.
Just making dinner, but you can make me co-host if we get like a bigger amount of speakers. That'll help.
Yo,
Hello?
what up? What up? What
What
up?
up?
I have a ready question once we get started,
Oh,
and we might let a couple more people join though.
sick. I'm making dinner real fast. I'm having some French fries and vegan chicken nuggets.
Fire.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question for Aaron. Hold on. Aaron, come
We're
up.
kicking it off with Aaron this early.
Good morning, Aaron.
Oh,
I have a question. Which one of your cats is your favorite? Good answer.
What a way to quick kick
Joe,
off the interview space.
Joe, I have a question for you.
Oh, snap. What's the question?
Uh, I don't know. I'm asking. What? Yeah.
Yeah, we removed Aaron as a speaker.
Yeah, I was about to say who let her on stage. Alu, I think if Reddy is available to ask your question too, I think you could go ahead and get us kicked off. I think it's about that time.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, first brief question. I know it's supposed to be one question, but I got to know what you're cooking for dinner.
oh! I just said I'm making some vegan chicken nuggets and some fries real fast. Nothing crazy
Okay,
tonight.
nice. Okay. And an actual question for you. I
Okay.
know you have a lot of different forms of media that you enjoy creating. Is there
Sure.
anything in particular you've been having fun with lately?
That's a great question.
Anything that's kind of like out of the norm for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been playing more with doing abstract art with like my characters and stuff for what feels like the first time, which has been really cool. Like I've taken art classes and courses my whole life, and I've always just kind of like gravitated towards like I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but like fine art was like lazy in a way because like you could just do whatever you wanted and like justify it as art, and I was always like, well, I want to make sure that I'm like doing like a fully finished thing before I'm like trying to claim that it like is something. But after meeting so many like different fine artists and like looking at like different processes and just growing up and like getting older, I've like obviously gained like a much deeper appreciation for it and like a genuine appreciation of all the different styles and stuff like that. So I've kind of just been like exploring warping my characters in a more abstract way for the first time after kind of having like the wrong attitude about it for like a really long time.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like a fine line, but I think once you kind of let go of your expectations of yourself, you can kind of make some really interesting things or just have a lot more fun with it, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I've definitely been having a lot more fun with it. And like I said, it's like I still approach it from the process of like making my characters fully finished first, and then I just like warp them and change them into like whatever I want. So it's like a process of like creation and then like reduction. So it's like a back and forth. And either way, I have to like finish the elements that I want to use for it before I can start like destroying them or adding texture layers and stuff like that. So it's been a really nice experiment, and I just kind of have this like whole arsenal of characters and like assets that I can use to warp in all different types of ways.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you for answering that for me.
Thank you for asking. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Where do you want to go next with your art? I've seen your art like really like I don't know, not like take shape, but just like really solidify itself. And since I've like been following you, your painting style has just gotten stronger. I've seen you starting to mess around with some more abstract stuff. So I was just kind of curious, where do you see your own artistic journey going next for you?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like I enjoy the element of surprise, but I also just want to expand. Like I every time I touch a bigger canvas, I have more fun. Or like every time I really like tackle something I haven't tried before, I have more fun. So I want to get really big with the canvases and I want to work on more studies so that I can get better with my skills and stuff. But I really just wanted to get larger than life. I'd love to host some IRL events if I can get my hands on a cool event center or something like that. I'd like to do like a pop-up gallery, um, something like that with some music so people can dance, get like a showroom. I don't
Oh,
know,
dude,
things
that
like
would be
that. I
sick.
just want to bring people together and have them like stare at my creations, you know.
No, dude, I think that's a lot of our shared dreams at this time. You know, I think we all want to be able to connect people and bring them together around our art or mutually related art and just create like a inviting atmosphere that displays all of our creative talents.
Totally. Yeah, I think that would be a blast. And anything to further actualize my creations because it's like it's one thing to have a room full of cool art that I love looking at, but to be able to like put it somewhere in the real world and have it be real
Mm-hmm.
for other people too, that's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really great like just base reason for wanting to do something. But thank you for answering that question. If
Yeah,
it's
thank you
okay,
for asking.
I do have one more.
Yeah, fire away.
Yeah. So crap. I sort of forgot. I sort of forgot what I was gonna say. Um. Oh, I guess just in general, I try to ask this of a lot of people. If you could collaborate with any artist, rather living or dead, who would it be, and what would you want to make with them?
Mm. I honestly don't know. I've I've kind of copped out of this question in the past with more of a broad answer where it's like I want to collaborate with people who have a totally different skill set than me. So I want to collaborate with like teams, not just specific artists. So I would love to work with a team to put together a video game. I would love to work together with like a writer and an editor and put together a novel. I want to work together with like teams of people to accomplish some big things rather than just like a piece here and there. Because I have a lot of fun sitting down with friends and creating pieces, but I think that the coolest collaborations would come from team efforts, and that's something that I'd be really excited about.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually felt very similarly about a lot of things because I think when you're someone who, like yourself, has created not just a thing, but like a universe where you want to invite people in and you want to tell stories in a lot of different ways, um, you need to work with like other people and teams in order to really bring that to life.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not like a purist with my ideas. I understand the aspects of things where I like, if I don't have this certain skill set, I'm not going to just like force myself to do something that I don't enjoy doing. But I would love to find someone who enjoys doing that as much as I enjoy the aspects that I enjoy. You know, we could like meet heads and really actually make something crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, either way, I'm very excited to see what you have to say, but I'll shut up now so we can get some other people asking questions because now we got a couple heads in here.
I appreciate your questions.
Thanks, Reddy. Hi, Noel. You got your hand up.
Hi. I got a question for Tristan and Reddy. Well, I think it's a question. Yeah. What are your tips or recommendations on sort of keeping organized with like the worlds and characters that you create, and maybe making sure that they sort of get the full attention they deserve in a sense, if that makes sense.
Um, yeah, totally. I think one thing is giving it time. Um, I feel like a lot of my world building process is just thinking and it's not actually solidifying anything. I'll just think myself in circles for literally years until something like really sticks. You know what I mean? It's like it's a lot of just telling myself stories until they start to make sense and they start to become something. So really being patient with it and taking a bunch of notes, but then allowing yourself to be flexible with your ideas and not like solidifying anything and just like documenting. Take all the time in the world would be my main bit of advice.
That's a great starting point, and I'm gonna piggyback right off of that because if you don't write it down, you're gonna forget. If you don't document it, you're gonna forget. No, I know how similar you are to me in a lot of ways with smirking weed and forgetting things. So it's like if you don't write it down, you don't document it, you're gonna fucking forget. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's it. So fill whatever notebooks you got, scraps of paper, write stuff down, jot down sketches, whatever you can, and just honestly get a folder. Literally get like a manual, like a traditional folder that you would have had like in grade school, and just put whatever relevant materials in that folder so that way you know like where it all is and how like you can access it to pull it up as reference. And then the supplemental point I have to that is just kind of taking a step back from what you're doing for a minute and just like try to figure out what you're trying to say with it. Like really try to figure out like what's the most important points of your world that you want people to take away when you're presenting it to them, and kind of go from those points and expand outward because you need to bring people in with the main ideas before you can interest them in the tertiary stuff. So it's like if you figure out what's the core like values of the Fediverse and the most important stories you want to tell, work on that first because all this other stuff takes hell of a lot of time, and the only way you can do it is step by step. So just do it in the way that feels right to you by following what story you feel is most important, and I'm sure people will resonate with that because everyone already loves what you're doing, and we're always looking forward to see what you're going to do next.
Thank you. Yeah, I need to definitely get better at like writing and stuff like that. I've always just worked in a way like that's in my head and I'll continue to go, but yeah, you're right. I smoke a little too much weed and shit. I definitely need to get better with that writing.
No, I have
Beer.
a question.
Good morning.
I know. Do you think your perspective on like the cultural impact of your work has changed after the sale at Sotheby's? Or
Um,
or like has that really changed your perspective on your work as a whole at all?
I think yeah, it definitely put into perspective of what I kind of like ran away from in a sense. Like my paintings, I guess I felt after a while more like, oh, these don't really show me. I'm not really sure how I felt about my paintings. But I think that was just me overthinking a lot of things because my paintings were like a really big part of my like artistic journey and like sort of building what I enjoy and stuff like that. And me researching a lot of things. So seeing it go into Sotheby's and stuff like that has made me, I guess you can say, a lot more proud of it, and I guess just um, it's hard to put in words for sure, but like just more aware of what I've done. Yeah, it's hard to think about it all when social media goes so fast and stuff like that. So I've definitely been just looking back at what I've done more.
That's great. No, thank you for that. I think that's a good thing that all of us can take with our work is like sometimes it's good to take a step back and look at everything that you've done that's led you to where you're at as an artist. I mean, I think, especially with social media being how it is, we get really caught up in like what's happening right now, and we don't take the time to appreciate everything that we've done as an artist to get us to this point. So that's a good reminder for me right now too, because I'm kind of in a weird spot with my art. So thank you. I've got a question for Faraz, if you're available.
Yeah, what's up? Hey.
What's up? I was looking through your page and I love all the kind of woodworking like mixed media stuff that you've been doing. So I was just kind of curious, like, is it weird to try and combine a lot of different mediums with woodworking and with wood, or is it kind of natural to you? And also was kind of curious if that's like where you started or if that's something like you picked up along the way. So yeah.
Yeah, so I originally just used to do a bunch of wood burnings like since 2017 of just album covers. Um, and then but before that, I had like a lot of sculpting experience with just ceramics and like clay. So really just like around last year, I wanted to actually do both. But like sculpting from home is pretty difficult. So in a relief sense, I was able to make just a bunch of reliefs with wood carving and was able to mix that with wood burning. So it was really just like a lucky medium that ended up happening. Um, but I do like incorporating different media into woodworkings just because like it's such a specific like I found like a very specific medium and style I'm in right now. So anytime I can like try and incorporate other stuff, I like definitely fuck around a bit with it. Um, yeah, so it is at first it was kind of tough, but it like developed itself over time. So you just have to keep doing it and eventually it works out. But at first it was a bit of a challenge, not gonna lie. Yeah, and then yeah, I think that was the question. You ask something else, right? Did I cover that or no?
Yeah, you did. I just asked if that was like, did you start with woodworking or is that something like kind of you picked up along your journey? And you said that you started off doing like some wood burning and stuff, and so naturally just kind of with your sculpting experience too, like lent itself to working with wood in that way. And I think that's really dope. Because sculpting is really difficult to do at home sometimes. I got some friends that do a lot of pottery. And she's also a teacher, so she has access to like a kiln and stuff at work. So that like makes it really helpful for her, but I can understand why like you having that desire to like continue sculpting and it being just this like really difficult process and wood kind of being that happy medium between the two is really beautiful. And you've really developed a dope style through that. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you were able to like find that way to kind of mix together all the different things that you love in your art and develop a style with it. I love when it all comes together like that.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Like I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your answers too.
I just wanted to remind everyone that anyone is able to get interviewed. Just request up and we'll get to you.
Yeah, thanks to everyone that's here already too. This is a good little crowd, so lots of dope artists in here. So yeah, please just request and get up. I want to ask all of you questions because I just love learning about people and their processes and their art. So don't be shy. We don't bite. We might give you a burrito if you're really cool.
I got a question for Terrell, if you're around.
What's up?
Yo. Okay, so how do you feel now compared to when you were entering the space? And a little double question, how would you define success and how important is the pursuit of that?
I think now I'm a lot more comfortable with the space because early on it was all very new. And like when I had first minted on Foundation, I like didn't really even know about OpenSea. Like I had clicked on like an OpenSea link and I was like, wait, how is my art that I like put on Foundation on OpenSea? Well, like I didn't put it on OpenSea. But I'm just glad that I know a whole lot more now. Like even with like when I had went to Art Basel, I was like mildly like successful in my own like sense, but even then like they didn't have a lot of Web3 stuff, and then also I still didn't know everything about the space. So I think even like going to Art Basel this year, I'm gonna like know some more, and I'm gonna have like a way better time. Um, Success, I think success is kind of like a perspective thing. I think it's whatever you make it. Um, some people would be successful in other people's eyes, but they may not be successful like in their own eyes. Uh, the way I define success, I would say it's like I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of like personal goals. For me personally, I won't consider myself successful until I reach like certain personal goals, and that's like being able to like bring my family on a vacation or like stuff like that. Like, but some other people may be like, if I get like one sale, then I'm considered successful. And that may be their definition. So I can't tell them that they're wrong for that. But yeah, I think that's kind of like a personal thing.
I could definitely relate to that because I have both like material goals and just like personal goals where I'm like, man, if people are enjoying my art enough to purchase it in general, I can consider myself successful. But at the same time, like my aspirations have no limits. So it's like it's totally a balance, and it's also like it's up to everyone's own personal definition. So thank you for answering that.
No doubt. Yeah, like even just like reaching certain goals, you might get there and then you're just like, oh, like this is how this feels to have this goal achieved. Like, okay, now I got to go get new goals.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a kid when they want a certain present for their birthday or for Christmas or something. You might spend the whole year wanting it, and then as soon as you get it, it's like, all right, what's the next cool thing?
Exactly. Hey,
This
I
is
have a question
beautiful.
for Yaga, if I can.
Yeah,
Is
go for it.
Yaga,
Ooh,
are you around, my boy?
I'm around, my boy. What's up?
All right, so I'm loving your new pieces. Like, I think that's some of my favorite stuff from you. Period. I want to know kind of what went into the inspiration for like the colors, because like the color schemes.
Ooh, good question. Um, I've always loved color, but coming from like a traditionally trained background, I've always been like kind of more inclined to do accurate colors. But I've always loved like looking at something and just being like blasted away with like a bunch of different tones and saturations and values and everything. But the profile picture that I usually have, it's it was an assignment in class, and there's this art period called Fauvism, which translates into wild beast, and it was kind of like a movement in rebellion to like neoclassical work, where everybody was tired of like reproducing like masterpieces and technical work, so they just started color blasting things and just like going crazy with color theory. And I really enjoy doing that in that work, and now I want to like develop something that's like resemblance of that type of work. Just like whatever happens kind of vibes. Because like overall, my approach in art is becoming a lot more loose. Like I'm not refining everything to its potential, and I'm leaving like brushstrokes and everything like that. So the color use that I have is just kind of representing of that, of just me taking it easier and just doing what I really like, kind of.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like it. I just had to mention this because I know a lot of people like look up to James Jean as an artist, and to me, like I was like studying Fauvism and I was studying a lot of like illustration work, and it's just like illustrations and like posters and things like that, and like things like what James Jean does is just a lot of color blasting and just a lot of like technical approach to theories, and that's just fun. And that's kind of like what I'm like looking for, like my reference work and things.
Shout out to James Jean.
For sure. Shout out James Jean. Appreciate the question.
Yeah, thanks for that, Terrell. I've got another question for Faraz if you're down to answer one more. I was digging through your profile a little bit deeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I see you've been kind of integrating like a lot of jewelry into some of your pieces lately, and I was just kind of curious where the idea or inspiration to like kind of start including some of those pieces in your work started from.
Yeah, so basically, like, besides art, I love thrifting just as a concept. Super fun, super interesting. And a lot of the pieces that I was working on was like a reflection of my own history and like who I've been versus what I am now. And I was thrifting, thinking of a piece, and then I was just like walking around. And I'm like, there's so many like stories and histories to every article of like clothing, shoes, jewelry, materials, anything really, um, that we just like don't really know about that goes with these random ass things at the thrift store. Um, and they could be precious, they could just be some random offshoot item. But because of that, I kind of wanted to like emphasize like some preciousness of our past through these like thrifted jewelry things. Um, because like one thing I do when I'm just like driving around, if there's ever a thrift store, I try and stop, and it's just nice to like know that there's like kind of a, like, I almost treat it like a museum, but it's not really a museum. I don't know if I'm saying that in a clear way, but I think just like because they were precious to some people, I thought that bringing those into my work to like define my like preciousness of history, um, was just a cool touch. And I generally like shiny things too. So that's basically it.
I love that you say it's kind of like a museum. I too don't know if that's the exact like right way to kind of put it, you know, make that reference, but I love that you're saying like I'm trying to bring this preciousness and like this piece of somebody else's history, kind of like when you're thrifting, it's like you're bringing someone else's stuff into your own life anyways in a way. So it's like you're kind of trying to extend the life of that jewelry in a way that also tells you your own story. So that's really cool. I was curious if like you made jewelry alongside all the other stuff you do, or if that was just like you love collecting jewelry or that sort of thing. Because I really love the way you've integrated it in a lot of your pieces. So it was really cool to hear the story about why you've started to do that lately. So thank you. I see Yaga, you got your hand up.
Yes, sir. I had a question back for Terrell and kind of for Cliff if he's down to answer as well, because I know that there is a group effort of launching on Tez. I pinned up the tweet, which includes 20 artists, 20 Genesis on Tezos. And I was just wondering what was your thought process in like now adding a different platform to your work and if that is gonna like reflect on the type of work that you are producing. Like is it gonna be different on each platform, or was it just like transcending that barrier?
The thought process behind that came from Masan. He had came into one of our spaces. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, but he was really just trying to make an effort to reach out to ETH artists or ETH native artists, and just ask them to consider minting on Tezos. And me and Roz and Gamo, I think we were all in there in this space at that time, and we were all already considering like minting on Tezos. But that was kind of like the extra push, and we were like, okay, like this is a sign. And I think we all probably had art ready at that time. Like we could have minted that same week, but we really wanted to kind of turn it into a whole event and a whole like moment, and not just have it be us, have it be women artists, queer artists, artists that aren't even necessarily like minting a bunch of stuff in the ETH space yet. Even we're onboarding a lot of people into NFTs with this job as well. But yeah, we really just wanted to make like a group effort to actually have it be like a whole moment and be like a whole cool drop and have a bunch of great artists with a bunch of great art, and just come into the platform the right way. And I don't think that for me personally it won't change my like output. It won't change what I'm working on. It'll just change me actually putting it out, because like my style is going to be different on Tez. I'm going to be like exploring a whole different part of the stuff that I'm able to do, and like it'll be a lot similar or more similar to the stuff that I did like early on Foundation, like the uh Fresh Off the Lot or A Happy Place. It'll be more similar to that stuff rather than like the stuff that I'm going to be doing on Super Rare pretty soon here. But yeah, like it's stuff that I already do, and it's exercises that I already have, but it's just a new place to be able actually to be able to put them. And trust me, like when you see the art like for this drop, and not just for me, from like everyone that's involved, like you're gonna see like it's crazy. People went like nuts.
Everything Pharrell said times 10 million.
Nice.
You really
Yeah, I
gonna
don't
let
really
him
have
one
much
up
to
you
add.
like that?
I don't have much to add. He really took off with it, so I'm not gonna taint it.
Incredible.
But yeah,
Valid.
be excited.
Be excited
Well,
too.
Burrito Dao is very excited, and we are loading our Tez wallet up because of it. That's all I can say.
Yes, sir. Yo.
Appreciate it. Hey, look, I'm gonna be my Tez wallet too. I've seen this art already. I'm running.
Real.
I have a question for Mr. Cliff.
Oh yeah.
When is the last time you felt like you had to make like a change creatively? Can you remember any like turning points that you've had? Anytime in the past. You could take a minute to think about it if you need to.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Let me look at my Instagram.
That's a heavy hitter, Olive.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
gotta
real
look
because
at my
whenever I
timeline.
scroll way back in my Instagram, I'm like, dang, I can see little bits of myself in these drawings, but I definitely there were certain points where everything like shifted for sure.
Bro, I'd be looking through my archive photos on Instagram, and I'm like, holy shit. Some of this stuff is awesome, but man, I've come a long way.
That's so
It's
real.
it's wild looking back at like the early stuff from like 5 years ago. I'm like, wow, I was looking at my life and art in like such a different way. And it's wild to see
Totally.
how much it's changed.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. That's why it always interests me. Like if people can come up with a specific thing that they're like, okay, I remember that this made me want to change things. I remember there was one time I used to do cover art. I used to do like $20 for some cover art, and I would post 4 different cover arts at a time. And then somebody quoted it on Twitter one time. It was like, "What is this?" with the dead emoji. And then from that point
Oh
forward,
damn!
I started looking at every piece way harder. I'm like, yo, I can't let that happen ever again.
Sheesh. Also, while Cliff's thinking, I just want to remind everyone, feel free to request and hop up here if you want to get interviewed. We'll try and ask you a question or two about your work, just get to know you better. Anybody is allowed to request and hop up on stage. We want to hear from you and learn about your art. So that's what we're doing tonight. Shoot your shot. Come talk. We don't bite.
I think I have an answer. I don't know, but I think like in 2020 or 2019, I was drawing a lot of. There's like this trend of just like drawing pretty girls, and I was just like, I was in that. I was doing that a lot, and then I was looking at other. I was still drawing like my cartoon stuff, like my other kind of stuff, but the pretty girls was getting more traction. So I think at some point I was just like, no, I remember I saw. Do you guys know who Gox is or Vex? All right, well,
Oh,
I'm
facts.
not 100%. Yeah, I think I just know by name. Yeah.
yeah. So I saw their stuff. And I was like, yo, this stuff is crazy, and I was like, I could like I already have like a cartoony style, and I was already drawing the girls. I was like, I could combine these two elements and just create something new. Because I was definitely getting bored of just drawing the girls because there's literally nothing going on in those pictures. It was just drawing people, but like actually having like the other elements really just I don't know, made my style like expand. I guess I don't know. That's my
That's
answer.
cool to hear. I can relate to that because I feel like a lot of us start off like not necessarily chasing a trend, but like we find ourselves falling into what works, but then our unique styles emerge from that. So it's cool to see. I'm glad you're able to recall a point where that happened for you.
Good question though. That really made me think.
Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Hi, Bubble. I have a question for you if you're
Hi,
able to talk.
Bubble.
Anybody sipping right now?
I
I'm
was
sipping.
sipping
I'm
on a
sipping a
little bit.
coffee.
Sipping.
Bubble, I saw you hop down. If you want to come back up, let me know. I have a question. I want to talk about your paintings. Oh, there he is. Cool. Hi, Bubble.
It
Hi,
gets really
Bubba.
quiet when I switch a speaker.
We can hear you now. What's up, friend?
Hey.
So, my question is like, I know you've been spending a lot of time with the Sippies lately, but I want to kind of take it back because when we hung out in Charlotte, I got to watch you kind of finish up some of your physical pieces and paintings. And I know for a lot of people, sometimes there can be a disconnect between their digital work and their physical work. And I was just kind of curious what your relationship is between like the physical paintings you do and how that translates to your work that you do digitally as well.
Yeah, that's a interesting question. I mean, my physical like paintings that you saw me working on, I feel like are either more like meditative or studies, like I'm doing abstract work to just kind of relax, or doing drawings from life or paintings from life just to practice my eye. But I think it just kind of connects digitally because there's different limitations within that like form. So when I do go to digital, like which is just vastless and with infinite possibilities, like I already kind of have some notion of how to build up an image or how to how to evolve like an abstract piece. So I think it's just kind of from that, like um I don't know if that's a great question or a great answer, but it's like, the fact that I can zoom in my abstract work while working digitally makes me want to put in more detail, or the fact that I can, yeah, just do different things.
No, I think that was perfect because it's like when you're working on a physical piece, like you said, there sometimes are a little bit of limitations to what you're able to do, but digital is endless and vast, and you have so much more, I feel like, control over what's happening. So the fact that you, like you said, you can zoom in and take more detail is really cool. But I love that you have your physical process as well as, like you said, like this meditative, just kind of relaxing thing. And I feel like that's a good thing that I think a lot of creators miss in their processes a lot is being able to create just as like a form of relaxation or just like the zen state. And I think that comes across when people do end up going into more detail or trying something a little bit outside of the box after they are creating kind of out of habit or for relaxation or something like that. So I think it's really cool that you're able to distinguish between your physical and digital work like that, and that you are then inspired or like you desire to kind of take that extra step for detail with your digital work because you already have the foundation laid with your physicals. Like that's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, and
Yep.
sometimes like the way you expand on the detail may just be stuff you can't really do traditionally, like animating my abstract works as like digital sculptures and stuff like that, like really making it take up space rather than just be a flat image. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool, and I think just compartmentalizing like my different interests and stuff has been part of just becoming more and more into like art on the internet, I guess, because with like Instagram and then now crypto art, I'm just kind of like trying to section stuff off into collections in a way. But yeah, I don't know.
I love that because I'm kind of in like the opposite boat because I think my photography right now I'm focusing too much on the detail of it, and I want to get back into the like fun, basic, like foundational layer of like what made me fall in love with photography in general. So it's like I'm doing what you're doing, but kind of in reverse. I've been working on my foundation, working on my technical skills, all that kind of stuff, but there's like too much detail, so I want to strip some of that away and just get creative again. So same
Yeah.
thing in a way, but kind of opposites at the same time.
Well, I'm trying
So
to actually tap into that again too, because just with Sippies lately, that's all I've been drawing. So I'm really missing when I would just kind of do that kind of stuff. And it's not like, um, I don't know, I still doodle mindlessly at the end of the night and stuff, but just it's definitely different for sure. So I feel like I've been slowly, yeah, putting myself in the spot I don't want to be in of like creatively restricting myself. But such is life. I enjoy this process regardless.
yeah, there's always a way to find the balance, and as long as you are enjoying what you're doing at the present moment, I don't ever think you're in the wrong place. So, and the fact that you recognize that, okay, maybe I'm overextending myself in one direction, I need to get back to like the basics again, like that's a good sign in and of itself too. So don't get discouraged. I think you're doing all the right things, but excited to see some more bubble creativity and crazy pieces soon too. So. Love everything you're doing, friend. Thanks for the answers.
Yeah, thanks for the question and the kindness. I have a question for Faraz, because I've been seeing your work and I really like your stop motion animation. I'm just curious if that has been the area that you've just like resided in within animation, or if you also do like 2D or even like computer animation.
Yeah. Hey. So I think right now I'm just sitting at the like claymations right now, just because really I wanted to spend more time on each woodwork, right? And I was cranking them out last year like one piece a week, and that was just beyond unhealthy. Um, really fun though, not gonna lie, but like my hands were just like stiff the for months, so I couldn't really do much besides that. So I've been able to take a lot more time on woodworking because of my stop motions. Before I got on Twitter, I was doing a lot of stop motions. Um, so I do have like that experience, but now it only takes like a few hours to get a nice little GIF going. So that's like a good way to just like feed my media tab with random stuff. So yeah, I think one day I want to go into 3D animation. I'm learning 3D modeling right now too. Might just have a random alternate account burning somewhere. But yeah, I think currently I'm just gonna stick with the stop motions. I have like this month and next month planned with ideas, so we'll just stick with that for now. But yeah, also really appreciate all of your sips and art that you've been making recently, Subtle. I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a journey, but just because like stop motion is such an interesting niche to get into because it's like part photography, part sculpting, part it's really animation. You got to know the spacing and timing and everything. So it's just such an interesting niche to get into it. Were you like a photographer at first, or did you just play around with Play-Doh at the beginning? Like, how did you get into it?
It was quite literally. No, I like have a bunch of just needed erasers that I stole from my college classes. And I was like, I feel bad just having them sit around because I just use it for like if I'm ever stressed, I just like fiddle around and make some random thing. And I was like, if I could make this thing a lot like as a superpower, I would definitely want to just animate random stuff that I sculpt. And I figured I was like, wait, I can do that with just the camera. So I just kind of wanted to do that. And I love Robot Chicken. It's a fucking hilarious show. Um, so that was really like kind of the kickstart to it. Yeah.
That's dope. Thanks for sharing that.
Hi, Reddy. I see you got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I think Faraz and his work is cool as shit, and I have not had like many opportunities to speak to him about it. But anyone who makes stop motion is a legitimate hero in the creative world because there are few things that are as difficult as doing that, and you do it very well. And I'm very excited to see where you continue to progress with that as a creative output.
Dude, thank you so much. There's been so many times where like one time my whole setup just fell because it's on a table, right? And the backboard just fell behind the table. And I was about to just toss the phone out the window. I was ready to just lose, but it's paid off. It is very fun. And thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, if there's a stop motion movie that comes out, I've seen it. Like I don't even mean to like be hyperbolic, but I've literally seen every stop motion animated movie that has like ever been released, unless it's like a complete indie film that has like 13 views on it. And even then, I might still try to find it if it's worth watching. But like, I have literally seen all of the oldest ones to all of the newest ones. So it's one of my favorite art forms as a sculptor, and I really look forward to seeing more from you with it. And when it goes wrong, it does feel like an insurmountable defeat. Like it is crushing to lose that sort of like work and precision.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I know Reddy is not being hyperbolic when he says he's seen every stop motion film ever. Like that's 100% facts. So that was just funny to me. I wanted to make sure everyone knew that he's actually not joking. He probably has. But you can go ahead for us. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all good. I was just saying, like, I want to go see Marcel the Shell so bad, but I do know I'm just going to shatter inside if I do. But I will actually be hitting you up soon because I do need to see another stop motion film. Because the last one I saw was like Fantastic Mr. Fox, which had me just dying.
That's
So
a
I
good
just
one.
need more, dude. That's an amazing one. I will
Yeah,
be hitting you up.
that's up there in the top 10. I can't even front about that. Definitely one that I would recommend to just about everyone. And if you've seen that, have you seen Isle of Dogs?
That is quite literally on my list. I think that's
All
gonna be
right.
my. I was watching House of Dragon now, but once that's done, I'm just gonna go straight back to the movies. So I'm ready for that.
Hell yeah, you're gonna enjoy it.
That's a good one. And Kubo and the Hidden Strings.
Oh, Kubo and the Two Strings is insane.
Two
Visually,
strings. Yep.
insane.
Vouch.
Yeah,
Leica
that's
Studios
amazing.
doesn't miss. Leica
Yeah.
Studios does not make bad movies. That's a true fact. Even if they've lost money on them, don't ever think for a second that they make bad movies. Anything Leica touches is usually pretty solid.
Did you know the guy that started Leica is the son of Nike?
No, that I did
Yeah.
not know. So that's very cool.
It's just crazy.
One thing I do want to little bit of like early I guess not alpha, but like if you are familiar with the guy who wrote, was Coraline a book before it was a movie? Either way, Neil Gaiman has another book that is going to be made into a stop motion film. And when I had read this book as a kid, it was one of my favorite books ever. It's called The Graveyard Book. It's about a kid who gets orphaned and raised by ghosts in a cemetery. And and I believe that they're making a stop motion movie out of that, and I think it's going to be absolutely incredible.
Fire. Thank you for. I love that little stop motion tangent. Thank you. I'm gonna have to add some of those to the list for sure. But Moody, you've had your hand up for a second. What's up, friend?
Yo, burrito, sip. Faraz, I was looking at some of your work, and I really dig your stop animation. I know it's a very small group, like in terms of like, you know, the Twitter space and NFTs, but are you familiar with Jeremy Fisher?
He sounds familiar, but I don't think I have like an image that pops up in my mind. I will get my laptop.
Yeah, so Jeremy Fisher, he worked on a lot of the things. He worked on Marcel the Shell. He worked on Robot Chicken. And he is the man behind Lucky Ducky. And he does stop animation. He just updated all of his Lucky Duckies to be animated like pieces. All of them are claymation. But if you want to get in touch with him, let me know. I think you guys would have a lot to talk about. I know stop motion is a very niche thing. He was saying like you could find all of the animators in Hollywood and like fit them all in like just a gymnasium. Like it's a very niche thing, and if you got it, you got it. But I think it'd be interesting to see you two conversate just because that's his background. He's worked with many of people like in the industry, working on a television show right now. But I think, you know, especially with, you know, the inspirations of Marcel the Shell, Robot Chicken, and many of what you guys listed, I would love to get you two in a room or just introduce you two because I think that you guys would have a lot to talk about. Pardon me.
Dude, absolutely. No pardon needed. That was fully appreciated, and I will be doing my own research on this because that sounds interesting as shit. So thank you for that.
Marcel the Shell made me cry really hard. Just be prepared for that one.
Burrito, sip. That was the most incredible intro I've ever heard in my life, Moody. That was
that's
incredible.
crazy. Moody, while you're up here, I got a question for you.
Hello.
So you're involved with a lot of different projects and as a lot of different things. Do you have any tips to like keeping a schedule? Like how rigid is your own personal schedule?
It's disgustingly rigid. I found that there really isn't enough time in the day for me to do what I want to do. So I have to plan months and weeks in advance, especially like as I host my own Twitter spaces for freehand. I'm scheduled until like the middle or late, basically the end of October. Like I need to know what I'm doing every day. So I recently just started waking up at 5:30 because I realized I need at least like 90 minutes in the gym. If I can't getting in at 6 a.m., there's no way I can afford to take calls for freehand, Burrito Dao, Just Five Lines, Rare Roses, or like even friends that like have questions. One of my best friends in the space, Buzzy, he works with like Crypto for Charity. And like some of his team like got on a call with me like a couple of weeks ago, and we're just conversating back and forth in ways that people can like give to charity and crypto. Really cool stuff, but it's just like literally nonstop. I honestly think I work about like 70 hours a week, and you have to make sure you get enough sleep. If there's any piece of advice, make sure to make time for sleep, exercise, and drink a shit ton of water.
Oh, that's so real. Thank you. Thank you for the little insight into your life. Do you have any like apps or like scheduling things? Are you a physical note taker or do you have a bunch of like sticky notes or do you have an app to keep your schedule? Like what does your actual schedule look like?
Yeah, so I live off my Google Calendar. I actually need to make a third calendar because I have a calendar for all of my NFT projects. I have a calendar for my IRL job, which keeps me busy, but I also need to create a third calendar for Burrito, but I might actually have to make a fourth calendar, just combining it all. I live and die by my calendar. I absolutely need my calendar. I have a notes section on my computer. I also have notes on my phone, and I also do voice memos. I'm really big into voice memos just so that I don't forget. But somehow I usually keep a very good mental log of things. I do not recommend that to anybody, but somehow my brain can function sometimes where if somebody says something, it'll just stay in my brain. But totally big on calendars. The calendars, alarms, and voice memos are absolutely huge. I also email my stuff like to myself. That's another thing. I always try to keep it in my email box because I know I will always check that.
True. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, of course. Sip, sip.
Sip, sip.
Sip.
I wanted to add also, like Moody said, drink a lot of water, but also make sure you have a burrito a week. That's a necessity. I had mine today, so didn't almost went the whole week without a burrito, and that was scary, but I made it happen today. So don't go too long without a burrito, or you'll be in trouble.
I have a
Yeah, I
question.
gotta get mine tomorrow.
Question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Does a roll of sushi count as a burrito?
Only if on the menu it says sushi burrito.
Yeah, facts.
I might need to get a burrito tomorrow then.
No, I feel that.
All right, I think we got time for just a few more questions here. If anybody that's in the audience wants to get interviewed, please go ahead and request now. I think we'll probably be wrapping it up pretty shortly. This has been an awesome chat today. I'm very stoked about the conversations we've got to have. Thank you everyone for being here too. It's been a lot. A lot of fun.
Man. So how's it been going back to an older style for your Tezos drop?
It's been awesome. Like I said, like I'd never really like left that part of my style. I just kind of stopped putting that out onto like the super rares and the foundations of the world. But I kind of started that style when I was doing commissions, and I would do it for like album covers and stuff like that. And then that kind of just bled into like kind of becoming part of my actual around 2018ish, and then later in like early 2020 when I started to take art a lot more serious. But it's been really fun to do. Like a lot of the stuff on Tezos is like super like inspired by I and stuff, and doing like a bunch of generation variations on Mid Journey, and then taking like parts of it that I liked, whether that be like the compositions or the colors and stuff, and kind of I kind of call myself like a translator, just kind of like making it make sense within the frame of the art. But it's been super fun.
Cool. Thanks for that answer, Terrell. I got one more question for Faraz. I keep going back to him, but the woodworking stuff just fascinates me. And then if no one else requests, then we can probably cut it pretty soon after this. But I was curious if you've ever thought about experimenting with cyanotypes in your work with the woodworking. I feel like it could be a really neat way to like incorporate a different kind of print making into the mixed media stuff that you do.
Like I didn't even know that was a word, but if that's spelled like cyan and then O types, I will be looking into that because that sounds very interesting actually. What is it first off? Let's start.
It's a light sensitive ink. Basically you can like so like paint over whatever surface you want to with the cyanotype ink, and then expose it to the sun with like a stencil over the top of it or whatever. You want the stencil to be inverted so the image comes out positive on whatever your surface is. But yeah, it's just a really cool process, and I think it's fun to use the sun to make prints. And so I think it could be a really cool way to like just add a different type of element to your work, and even add like a cool little pop of color because it's cyanotype, because it is the ink is blue. But yeah, you should. I think you should definitely look into it. It's a really kind of tricky process because you are having to deal with like exposing the pigment to the sun. So that can kind of be finicky sometimes, especially if you're in a place where you don't have like great access to like a super sunny area to like leave your stuff for a while. But yeah, I was curious if you knew about the process because I think it could be really cool. So yeah, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'm looking into this right now, and like I do want to have a slight style change coming up soon, and I think this might actually be the answer to that. So,
Oh,
thank
sweet.
you. I mean,
Yeah, of
for
course.
like I'm in an apartment, so if this is just like chemicals through the air, I'm gonna have to alter my ideas a little bit. But yeah, once I just like take a harder look at this and see if it's possible, like it might just be what it is. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
from
you.
a chemicals perspective, there's nothing gnarly about it. Like if you're in an apartment, you'll be fine. It's just nice to like I live in a house, so it's nice to just be able to put stuff in my front yard and not have to worry about people messing with it or whatever. Because sometimes you do have to leave it out for like 20 minutes or whatever. But yeah, I think you should look into it. Could be a cool little thing. I love cyanotypes. I made some shirts and I've done some prints with it too. It's kind of a fun little process. So yeah, that was just my last question I was curious about. So but yeah, unless anybody else has another question for anybody, I think we could probably go ahead and wrap up. This has been a super fun space. Thanks to everyone for being here.
Great space, everyone.
Cool. Yeah, thanks everybody. We try and do these pretty regularly because I love the like kind of natural conversation that comes from these type of spaces, and you just get to learn a lot about people's processes and different unique things, and get tapped in with artists that you might not know that much about. So definitely we'll be doing more of these in the future. So if you didn't feel up to like coming up on stage and chatting today, there will be another one in the future for sure. So we'd love to hear from more people, and definitely share it with your friends next time you see one pop up too, because we want to get as many people in here and ask as many people questions as we can. So but yeah, thanks everyone for being here. This was a blast. Thanks Alu for co-hosting with me. Thanks to everyone that asked questions, and thanks to everybody that was answering questions and just talking with us about your work. We appreciate it. Thanks for another great space, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.
Thank you. Bye.